This week, I have been reflecting on my life journey and journeys in general, how we move from one point of life to the other, how we move from one physical location to the other. And the one word that has stuck with me through that reflection is the bridge. And if you're like me, and it doesn't even matter wherever you grew up in, you would have encountered all different sorts of bridges. Some are firm, some are interesting, some are swinging, and some are quite dodgy. But whatever state you find that bridge at, it has the ability and the capacity to bring you from one place to the other in your life physically. And it also poses a whole lot of challenge and anxiety from you based on how it presents itself. And so you find yourself weighing your options in terms of the visibility and abilities and possibilities of those bridges and your own abilities and conditions and anxieties around those things that you have to deal with to bring yourself across those bridges. But the important message for this reflection is the fact that the bridges exist, that they are connecting points, that they present possibilities of a do-over, possibilities that link the unable to the able, that link the thought to the action or the outcome, and that link your now to whatever tomorrow is, and wherever tomorrow is, and whatever you need to do to get yourself over that bridge or to identify what the bridge is to begin with. And so what I say today with this reflection is that the most significant decisions are those that are made at the foot of the bridge. You cannot cross a bridge until you get to that bridge. And what that means is that you can only really assess your feelings, assess your skills, assess your abilities or the lack thereof in practice when you're actually doing something. You can imagine how a cake will come out until you put it in a pan and mix it and do everything and put it in an oven to see it flat or rise. And so when we sit back scared of what we can or cannot do, or we sit back completely confident that we can do this without actually putting it in practice, it feels like we cross our bridges in our heads without actually setting foot on that bridge to see how slippery it is, to see how wrong our shoes are in readiness for that journey. And that's what it means to cross a bridge when you get to it, because you do a valid assessment at the foot of that bridge. And what that does is it gives you informed decision making at that point based on your health, based on your motivation, your confidence, and your skill set. And then it tells you what needs to be done about it. Because with that information, you can decide that you will change your shoes. You can decide that you will find a stick to wedge you across the bridge, or you will hold a hand, you will hold a banister, or you will find other ways to cross that bridge. My name is Asa, and I welcome you warmly to this forum where we build our own daily connections and we reach out to each other. We have open conversations about how we cope and how we work so that we can motivate and empower and support other people in their own lives. I appreciate all my subscribers, anyone who visits this page, and I encourage you, if you're here for the first time, to subscribe and join us and share this message to motivate and empower others. Every bridge narrows that gap between perception and reality, because very often we imagine that something is impossible. We imagine that it is impossible because we are not yet standing at that outcome location. But your bridge is being able to think about that thing, to imagine it, to perceive it, and then to narrow that gap between that perception and the actual reality by creating the action, by creating the bridge, by actually putting it into practice to get yourself through to your intended outcome. Because when you start to put it into action, you're finding yourself at the foot of that bridge. You're asking yourself, what's the first step onto that bridge? You're finding yourself taking the second step, feeling the bridge, seeing how it swings, seeing how stable it is, seeing the outcome of your try. And then the second step, which will be more informed because you're right there dealing with that situation, asking your skill set, what goes in, using your outcome that is imagined to put the plans into place, to figure out how to get over those hurdles. And that's where your imagination and your reality start to come together by that bridge that you're building with your action, with accepting that things may go wrong, but I'm right here figuring it out at the foot of the bridge. So as long as we are human beings through this journey of life, we need bridges. Some are already there in our paths, some that we glide through without even recognizing how perfectly they facilitated our journeys. In other cases, they are rocky and swinging, and we either make our ways through them and pat ourselves on the back, or we go home and sit in corners where we really don't want to stay in. And in other cases, we actually make our ways through those swinging and bouncing bridges, and we do not stop to pat ourselves on the back, to accept that that was actually challenging, to accept that I'm now standing on mile 17 and I started off at mile 1, and that I've done well to get to 17, even though 100 is still a long way to go and several more bridges to cross to get to that 100. A bridge is evidence of overcoming something that you've left behind and gone over to that other point. It is evidence of growth from one age or one identity or one mindset through that bridge of connection and empowerment and knowledge to another. A bridge can be that physical journey from that one location to the other with all the anxiety that it took you to take that trip or to move to that location. It can be that connection with other human beings, with your environment, with opportunities that come your way, that you reach out for, away from where you sat before you became connected to those things and those people. But the most significant bridges are those that make us grow within ourselves. They are those that link us to our own bodies and minds and souls and make us understand ourselves deeply, whether we want to see those ugly scars or not, whether we want to accept those beautiful values or not. We can sometimes live in different universes of our own lives and in need of those connecting bridges that give us the awareness of where we are sitting at, what we are struggling with, and what we are worth. And today, with all the talk about a bridge, I hope that you can start to recognize that it is okay when you come across those challenging bridges. That it is okay if your morning energy is not driving you as fast as you would want it to be. And that tomorrow you will find yourself at a different advantage point of that same river called you. That you'll be looking at yourself from downhill at another bridge, seeing your river as more beautiful than it was yesterday when it felt rocky and rough. Because you are not one thing and you don't have one quality. Every advantage will be challenged, and every challenge will have a solution as you roll through that river of life and see yourself from one bridge to the other, one point to the other, and being open-minded and accepting that you will trip on some of those bridges and that you fly right over some of them because you have it in you. And that's life.